Hello, everybody. Thank you for letting me tell you a story today. The title of this story is called 25th Anniversary. My wife and I waited 12 years to have kids. And when Amanda and Javier came along, they consumed our lives. Before that, we were kind of footloose and fancy free. But after the kids came along, we had serious responsibilities. We had to provide for the kids. We had to make sure our careers were developing. We had to be able to keep up the house. In essence, our lives were consumed by things other than ourselves. So Nancy and I kind of forgot about each other. We were too busy living life. And for 13 years, we didn't spend more than a single night without the kids. On our 25th anniversary, we decided to go up to Canada for 10 days and leave the kids here. The kids were like, "What?" but we convinced them everything was going to be fine. I mean, to this day, they still remember the 10 days we abandoned them when they were children, but they got over it. But we went to Canada. We went to Jasper National Forest in Canada. Amazing place. Banff, it was our home base, and that is on the southern end of Jasper National Forest. And if you go all the way up to the top, that's Jasper, and it's about 110 miles in between. It's a nice highway going up from Banff up to Jasper. Nancy and I spent the full 10 days exploring every inch of that place as much as we could. And let me tell you, if you've ever been to Yosemite, imagine a place that's 10 times the grandeur of Yosemite. It was a beautiful park. You drive along the freeway or the highway there, and on the right and the left, there were these incredible mountains. You could see the tree line at the top, granite spires going way up, like the Grand Tetons, up higher than that. And then they were, of course, were snow-tipped, and it was just incredible. The snow, of course, was melting down into these beautiful rivers that would fill up and go over these amazing waterfalls, and the water would trickle down into these meadows and valleys that were just lush and full of animal life. It was incredible. And it was like we had the park all to ourselves. Yosemite in the middle of summertime is bumper to bumper people, you know what I mean? Well, up there in Canada at Jasper National Forest, we were there during the peak tourist season. And we would drive on the highway for 15 minutes and never see another car. It really was like we were there all by ourselves. And we had a great time exploring. We went to Lake Louise, beautiful lake. On one side, there's these Victorian style motels and things. And then on the other side of the lake, there's a glacier that feeds into the lake. Now, the water in Lake Louise is kind of a opaque blue. It's really different. And the reason it's that color is that the glacier that's been grinding away at those granite hills for so long creates microscopic pieces of granite that stay suspended in the water in Lake Louise and in the rivers that flow from it. So it's very, very opaque. And in fact, we took a canoe across the lake to the glacier, and when you row, put your oar in the water, you can't even see the bottom, the tip of the oar, because it's so opaque. It was really odd, but it was also, again, really beautiful and surrounded by these incredible mountains. Another hike we took was up on the tree line. We got Tree Line Trail, Nancy and I. And we're experienced hikers, so we were well prepared for any kind of weather. We were up there for quite a while, and about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, these big, huge clouds, thick with water, just came pouring over the mountains. So we donned our ponchos, and sure enough, a second later, ka-wham, ka-wham, as lightning started going off, and the thunder was going off, and the clouds released their water. And what we did, we didn't leave. We just put the ponchos on. We sat down right on the path, or right next to the path, and just let it rain on us. And the ponchos were perfect. It kept us totally dry. And it was just an incredible experience in nature to be there. Really wonderful. But the best part was when the clouds passed and the bright sun came out. As the clouds were passing, the bright sun came out, and two incredible rainbows, twin rainbows, just kind of went from the clouds down into the valley that you could see way out in yonder, Crystal clear, beautiful colors on the rainbow. It was just a real unforgettable event. few days later, we took another hike on the other side of the highway toward a lake. It was about 4 miles in. Now, all the while as we were touring the park, we'd just run into forest rangers and we'd see all these signs everywhere warning us of the bears. And the forest rangers would tell us, if you go hiking, be sure to make a lot of noise. In fact, if you've got bells, put them on your feet so that when you're walking, the bears can hear you coming. And if they do hear you coming, they'll go away. They'll leave because they don't want to have anything to do with people. So early one morning, it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, very cold up there, high altitude and everything. You could see your breath and everything. Nancy and I got out of the car and started for a walk. No bells on our feet, so we just decided we would talk loudly and then, walk clumsily to make a bunch of noise as we were walking. Well, we're walking down the path, and then we enter into this meadow, and suddenly I look up, I grab Nancy, we stop. I said, there's a bear coming down the tree. There's a bear coming down that tree. And she stops, she's looking, and we're both looking. And Nancy goes, it's not moving. And I'm looking at it going, you're right, it's not moving. And so soon we figured out that it was a burl, just a clump of wood, knots in the tree that was just figured. It looked just like a baby bear coming down a tree. It scared the heck out of us. If it were a baby bear, the mama bear was close by, and we didn't want to mess with any mama bears, right? But finally we just kind of laughed at each other and kept walking through the meadow. We were so scared, it was funny. When we walked through the meadow, we get back up into the hills, up into the path. And shortly after that, a fox jumped out onto the path that we were on, just like 5 feet in front of us. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful red fox. It was agile and lithe, and it jumped up and got startled by us and then ran up the path, bounding up the path, about 30 feet before it finally ditched off into the woods to the right, never to be seen again. It was so incredible. Beautiful red fox with a white tipped tail. It was really amazing. But there was a warning in that. Had we been making enough noise, that fox would have known we were coming and it never would have jumped onto that path. So that kind of alerted us to we better make a little more noise. So we kept on walking, and we were about, I don't know, probably about 100 yards from the lake. Couldn't see it yet, but we knew we were getting close. Well, then we came across this huge patch of berry bushes. Berry bushes that were loaded with berries, one of the favorite foods of big brown grizzly bears. So I was nervous again, I'm going, I don't know about this. And so we decided to keep walking anyway. Let's just keep making noise and let's keep walking. So we enter the berry bushes. The paths went right through the berry bushes, and it kind of went this way and then that way and then this way again. Now, the berry bushes, like I said, they were high. They were as high as my head and very, very thick. So the path, all you could see was the path in front of you, which was about 5 or 6 feet before it would turn into another direction and then another direction. And you could only see 5 or 6 feet. So if there was a bear there, you'd only have a second to react, and you'd only have back to go. But anyway, we're walking, and we turn the corner, and all of a sudden there's this big, gigantic, brown, steamy pile of bear poop right in the middle of the road. Or the trail, it's right there. I was like, and it was steaming. Remember, it was cold outside, so it was steaming. It was still steaming. So apparently we interrupted that bear when it was doing its business, and it took off going the other way. Thank God it went the other way. But that bear poop it took up almost the whole trail. So Nancy and I were going, oh, what do we do? So do we go to see the lake? It's maybe a bear. And we decided to go against the advice of the rangers, and we quietly turned around and headed back to our car. Yeah, we didn't get to see the lake. We didn't get to see the bear. That's okay. I'm here to tell a story today. Okay? And I'm fine with that. On another day, one of our final trips, we went up to Jasper, where there was a big glacier. And the glacier used to be right at Jasper, and it's been receding some for years now as global warming picks up speed. And what was interesting about it is it had that date signs where the tip of the glacier was for like 1950 and 1960 and 1970 and 1980. And it's amazing how far that glacier is, probably a quarter of a mile away from Jasper now. We went up onto the glacier, and it was really cool. It was, neat, and the water was rushing down the little gullies and things in the ice, just accentuating the fact that glacier is melting very, very rapidly. We went over to the museum in Jasper, and they had a good presentation of the glacier. And those glaciers have a huge impact on climate in this continent. So when those glaciers are gone, we're going to be in a different world. And I'm just counting my blessings that Nancy and I got to go there while the glaciers are still on this earth. Kind of extraordinary. So anyway, that's my wilderness story. Nancy and I, on our 25th anniversary, finally got to be alone for an extended period of time without our kids. We got to know each other again. We got to remember why it was we fell in love. And it was just a wonderful experience that I recommend to anybody. Only, if I were younger, I would do it sooner. Thank you very much.